Adam Savage here in the cave with not exactly a one-day build, but kind of. All right, let me explain. I've been doing some builds here in the shop over the last few weeks during the coronavirus lockdown, and they've been rewarding, but I notice that my penchant or desire for long-term projects is very low. Like, I like stuff I can complete by the end of the day or the weekend or the next few days. And in addition to doing those one-day builds, I have also been doing some sorting. I've made my mill trammed in to within a half a thou across all the axes. I fixed my lathe and hurt my finger. But I've also been moving stuff around the whole shop and moving stuff into storage, like everyone, just sort of taking stock of my life and organizing a bit. And the organizing feels like a very safe space. The end result of organizing is that you look at stuff and you can see it all, and that's very stabilizing. So today I'm going to sort, and what I'm going to sort is Legos. I have a lot of them. It's going to take a while, and I'm going to need a big surface. So for starters, I got to clear my pool table. All right, my pool table is clear. Look at that vast expanse. 9 feet by 4.5 feet of unbroken table. Just pleases a maker's heart. And here, let's see here. Here are all of my Legos, 2 big bins and some kits that I completed recently. I'm going to take them apart and I'm going to sort. I'm going to start by color. I think I've already removed the large plates from most of the collection. So, yeah. We'll get to sorting and I'll talk about it. But for the beginning part, I think it's just a free-for-all. I'm just going to start dumping, taking apart stuff, and taking stock of what I've got. I am about 2 hours into sorting. I've got these big piles on the table. I've just come across some seriously old, nostalgic Legos, and I wanted to go over them. I've got front of a car. This is definitely from when I was a kid. Little grill. Oh, yeah. This was my sweet spot. The space Legos, that in the early 80s, that's when I was really taking off this stuff. Oh, such precious screen printed space stuff. But I just came across, there's a bunch of counterfeit Legos in my collection, and I am trying to get them out of here when I see them. But I just came across a piece of such surpassing oldness. Here is a modern Lego plate, and each little pip says Lego. I know you couldn't quite resolve that, but each little pip says Lego. And the back is fairly straightforward look that we're all quite used to. But back in the early 70s, while they had the Lego writing on each pip, look at the back. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's some old Lego. I'm pretty sure there's some Lego folks out there who could tell me how old this is. But yeah, look at this. Lego train connectors from the 70s. Yeah. So we have some real nostalgic pieces. Right now, I've got this somewhat sorted. I've got some sorting going on. I did separate every single wheel that I had. So the wheels are all, at least out of this bin, separated out into these bags. And I can do sub-sorting of the wheels later. But now I'm just going to be pulling out the rest of these bags. Oh, man. And just slowly sorting. Okay, we are about 6 hours into this sorting project, and it's going swimmingly. You can see the big piles of Legos behind me. I'm starting to wrap my head around the containers I want to put these in. My mom has joined me because she's sheltering in place with us, only a few blocks away. So she's over here happily sorting the Legos by color. I called my friend Angus MacLean, Pixar director Angus MacLean, who's a master Lego builder, and I asked advice about how to sort. And his advice was start with color, everything else is easy after that. I have a tray of Technics over there, and also all the clear Legos are over there. And, I've separated out some of the really key things like screen printed stuff, wheels, windows. But I've also come across some particularly exciting old Legos that have been part of my life since I could remember playing with Legos, and I just wanted to go over them. Sean Charlesworth printed this up, and I love this because the control panel blue Legos from the spaceship sets from the early and mid 80s were so compelling. And you never had enough of them because after I built the ship from the box, of course, I wanted to combine the ships, and I managed to buy, I think I had every set from the Lego Space sets at different points, and still there just was never enough of these. So I would occasionally make my own, and I found one of them with a sticker on it, but the text has long since been worn off, and I was like, oh, darn it. And then I found this one. There you go. This is absolutely Little Maker, Adam Savage, 1982 probably. So I'm 15 years old, 14, maybe 1981. And I'm hand drawing my control panels so I could have more of these beautiful things in my spaceship sets. Oh yeah, here's a good control panel. There's one. There's a white one. Sorry, let's do that. There you go. There's a nice white one. I also found this, which I believe is from my childhood Battleship set. Yeah, this is a total walk down memory lane. Now, lest you think that I've always been a high-functioning hoarder and that we've had some amazing throughput by holding on to all my childhood Legos, that's not the case. In fact, at 17, once I discovered girls and decided to give up Legos, I sold them to a kid in my neighborhood. And I lamented that for decades. But then about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I got those Legos back because now we're all adults and they gave those Legos back to me. So my kids grew up with these Legos. And there's a bunch of their sets in here too. There's pieces of Millennium Falcons. There's some Harry Potter sets. I found at least one Chewbacca. But we're going to continue to make these piles larger and larger. And soon I'm going to start making some containers. First things up, I'm going to load these with the most numerous pile that I have so far, and that is the black Lego. Okay. This was a bigger project than I thought it was. We've been sorting for the better part of 10 days now. Everything is sorted by color, and I've separated out all the Lego Technics, the mechanical Legos. Now, I was thinking about building a sorting system for this, but such a thing is actually beyond me at this very moment in time because there are too many options, too many. However, I have a path forward, and that's how we're going to wrap this up. There are so many Legos. It is, yeah. Even somebody who loves organization as much as me is flummoxed by the sheer volume of choices. However, as I was out there searching through various solutions, I came across this. This is called an art bin, and they come in deep and shallow sizes. And I think these are absolutely perfect for holding all of the Technics Legos and allowing them to be quite buildable, usable, right? You put them all in a single bin, you're still searching for everything. So you want to separate out everything into, you know, gears and gear wells. And I've done that with some of my freezer compartments that I've got, but still, it's like, I still need to be able to move this collection around. I can't just make big trays. Originally, I was thinking I'd make these sort of like 18 by 36 inch trays and then stack them. But honestly, I end up with like a flat file that's like 5 feet tall. And I'm still, it would take hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of wood to make a dent. So I've got them in these interim compartments of mine, these thick foam board compartments. And the big bricks are going to stay in those for now. I'm going to move them to storage eventually, but they'll stay in those for now. But the Lego Technics are going to go in the art bins, and I'm going to build a rack for them. And that will be the build that finishes out this organizational extravaganza. Okay. So I have 5 bins of 2 different sizes, thick and thin. Thin is really great for Legos because you don't want to go digging too deep for that. But again, I found other Lego collectors who are using these bins. I am simply following their lead. But in making this plywood rack that holds these, I'm going to use a technique which I really like for shelving because it allows for some modularity. And it allows you to adjust your collection to the shelving. I'm not going to get any more mysterious than that. Let's take some measurements. I'm going to do some math, and then it's going to be time to cut out some wood. The chair dimensions are going to be 14 and a half. 14 and a half times 14 and 1/2. All right, I've got my cut list. Let's start cutting some wood. I really like to label my stuff as I go. It helps me not lose track of what it is. Because if you watch any of my videos, you know I can lose track of what it is. So it's a personal life hack. Here we go. So now, the back will be open. I don't need a full structure for this. The back is just going to be 2 uprights, 4 inches. And a half deep. I can actually staple an assembly on the sides and the back. Yeah. And then worry about the top and the bottom. This is a box with shelves. Before I go ahead and assemble these to the backs, I am going to, what do you call it? I'm going to enable the shelving. And I'm going to do it with slots. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Oh, all right. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually going to enable the shelves by cutting a slot like this in each of the two sides. And as I go, I'm going to cut each slot into each side using the same fence setting. And this will allow me to have perfect alignment of the two shelf slides. Then I'm going to take some of my crap 1/4-inch plywood and I'm going to slide it in there. I don't need to use good plywood for these shelves because they don't need to support much. They're just supporting these plastic bins. And most of the work they're doing is out at the edges where the shelf intersects with the slot. So it should be fairly mechanically simple. And also doing it the way I do it, we get perfect alignment, and that's really nice. Shelving. There. 2. And the second mark is another 2.25. Third mark is another 2.25. So that's 1, 2, 5. Okay, and then we have 3.75. And another 3.75. And then another 3.75. This is the kind of operation I could certainly do by hand, with just a lot of math and a CAD program. I don't know. There's something about me that just likes to do it almost by eye. I've set the height of the table saw, so it won't cut all the way through the wood. It's going to cut about halfway through. And here we go. With these cuts, I often do passes. Just to make sure I've really cleared it out. Now I'm going to move the plywood the width of the blade. And third pass. Oh, that's perfect. That's the one with the marks. Yep. Got my pieces cut out and they've got the slots in them. What's going on down here? Well, actually, I included for my design the ability to have 1, 2, 3 small bins. 1, 2, 3 look. Looks like I got my math a little wrong. I messed up, but it's recoverable. I just have to cut a couple more slots, that's all. It's going to be a very slot-heavy piece. But... There's my slot. You can see it's not a perfect slot, but frankly, it's plenty good enough for this. Yeah, for those of you yelling at the screen right now, dado blade, sure. Router, yeah, totally. Those would also work. I'm inclined to use the tool that's in front of me and the setting it's at. I don't love changing out a table saw blade to a dado blade. I don't know why. I have one around here somewhere. I just haven't used it in probably 15 years. I will do a dado blade. I will do at some point, I promise, a dado blade build, but not today. Nope. All right, we can do a little bit of assembly right away. Oh, I love the smell of Elmer's glue. I mean, wood glue. It's always that I want to complete these builds quickly. And so I kind of don't allow I kind of don't allow the mental space for like making sure I'm like totally buttoned down and kind of rushing through, because this is how I do it when I'm alone. So I figure, yeah. So in a way, you're actually getting to see the totally honest experience of just how what a corner cutter it can be. Oh. This is a speed build, but honestly, you know, as long as you're using wood glue and strong attachment, and your engineering is okay, these speed builds can still live with you for the rest of, you know, your shop's lifespan. There's no reason it can't be sturdy, even if you built it, you know, only half of your attention on it. Yeah. I get excited about every staple, because each time one doesn't injure me, I consider it a win. Sometimes I think staples are like Stephen King villains. They want to taste some blood. And we totally screwed it up. Ha! Yeah, see that? I made 2 pieces that were identical. And in fact, I need them to do this. So, now I'm getting kind of, let's get there. There we go. Come on. That is ugly. However, luckily, that's going to be the backside. Look, what do mistakes do but just extend the pleasure of building? Yeah, I'm counting my blessings at this point. Yeah. Look, whenever you're building 2 parts that are chiral, that are mirror images of each other, you want to make sure. You want to double check your work. Now, we figure out for this distance here. See that? Look at that. Isn't that great? That is 14.25. I like a nice. If I have a failing as a maker, it's that I tend to give things too little tolerance. So I'm going to say 14 3/8. That means my outside dimension is 15.25 by 16. 15.25 by 16. 15.25 by 16. Smoothing. So, I don't love it when I have 2 pieces of wood that are very close in dimension to each other. Let's give myself a little more headroom. That's good. It tends to lead to screw-ups. Oh. Okay. 16 is that dimension. Wow, look at how close they actually placed them. That's awesome. Okay, that's the top of the box. Let's glue it up. You see how quick this is happening? I'm judicious about when I build storage for my shop. But once I decide, it often happens quite quickly. I like, it takes me sometimes weeks or even years of watching my patterns with certain, technology or build technique or set of tools that I use. Sometimes it takes me years to figure out how I want to store them. But then once I do, the build goes together pretty quickly. You can hear my mom furiously sorting Legos in the other room. This is awesome. I mean, this is a person who had to vacuum or, at some point stopped, but, had to walk through my room filled with cities, with entire economies of Lego when I was a kid. That's a nice side. When the staple is going along the direction of the wood here, you'll see that it goes in and makes very little of a mark. That's a very fillable hole if you wanted to finish this. But when you're going against the grain, it tends to kick up the grain here. There's probably a technique for dealing with that. I just tend to try and make my grain align with the main direction. All right, our shelf is seriously almost done, and it's been like 40 minutes, and 20 of those was just screwing up. So now it's time to cut the pieces that go in between. That's the top, and those pieces are going to be 13 3/8. 13 3/8 by, and this is where you want to include a little bit of a slop factor. I could say 15, but that's cutting it close. I'm going to say 14 7/8. 14 7/8. 13 3/8, 14 7/8. 13 3/8. And 7/8. My shelf is almost done. I have one more thing I'm going to do. Well, first we do a test fit. Let me see. How did I mess that up? This is what we call Friday end of day build. Friday end of day build. That's how I'm going to classify this. It wasn't 13 3/8. It was 15 3/8. That's more like it. Excellent. Okay. This is a weird one. I'll admit, this is a strange one. But we're almost done with our Lego sort. Let us put some bins in here, shall we? I want that one on top. Yeah. I got one more bit of sorting to do because that's going to be deeply satisfying after all that messing up. So we've got our well, there you have it. A one-day build with a few wrong turns for Lego sorting. I'm going to shoot some close-ups right now, but thank you for joining me for this build. Send pictures of how you sort your Legos. I'm really curious because, man, I could imagine you could give over a whole portion of your house or your whole house to them if you were a serious collector. I'll bet Nathan Sawaya has like a whole warehouse. I know he has a whole warehouse. He probably has more than one. But like your average like home punter, I really love to see how you sort your Legos. It has been a journey and a much deeper dive than I thought I was going to get into when I decided just to finally sort those puppies out. Anyway, that's my one-day build. Thank you guys for joining. I'll see you next time.